Hi, Meadow Springs family. I'm Gary Rosing. I'm one of the elders here, as you know. But I just wanted to, Jerry and Brenda and the elders, and we've been having some fun conversations over the last few months, and it's some stuff that Jerry and Brenda want to share with you. So,
Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. We want to take a few minutes to share some things that are going on with this. This pandemic has brutally interrupted our lives and our schedules, and the same schedules are the ones that we complained about that was too busy before the pandemic even hit us. So early on, we encouraged each other to spend some time during this weird time to evaluate, to reflect, to think about our life in the past and the present and the future, and to spend some time with our Heavenly Father. So Brenda and I actually did that. Well, so we did that, and we want to share some of the things that we discovered. We started looking at the past, and as I was thinking about this, it was August of 1971, which, if I calculate that right, that's going to be 50 years this August, that I started preparation for ministry by attending Moody Bible Institute. I went through some time asking God, what do you have for me? What am I supposed to do as a young man working in the business world? And it came down to Him calling me into ministry. So the only thing I knew I was supposed to do was go to Moody Bible Institute and prep. I had no idea what the future was going to hold. And I knew that He would show me what to do. So that was the first year went well. The second year, He showed me something else very amazing. He showed me, not only was I supposed to go to Moody, but showed me this beautiful, amazing, funny, godly woman, young woman, who captured my emotions and captured my heart. And
Was me?
Yes, you. And and I begged God that He would show me to her, because she wasn't looking and she wasn't seeing. And God was faithful and answered my prayers, and He showed me to her, and she didn't run. And that was awesome. So when I eventually proposed, what I said to her was, Brenda, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know where God's going to take me, but I want to go there with you. And would you be my wife? And she didn't run again. And so that was awesome. So as we look back over our lives, he has been faithful to show us what to do every step of the way. Everything from going from Moody to an internship in Akron, Ohio as a youth pastor, to coming out to seminary in Portland, to going to Rolling Hills for 15 years as a youth pastor and a adult ministries pastor. He has showed us every step what to do. And 1994, He showed us that we were supposed to start a church. And so we stepped out and we did that. And it was on our 20th wedding anniversary, actually, that I said to Brenda, and it's also the last day of my employment at Rolling Hills. I said, it's been 20 years, and this is where we're at. Next 20 years, we have no idea where God's going to lead us, but I sure would like to still go forward with you and go into the future with you. And you didn't run. And that was good. And so now it's 27 years later. And thinking about why we look at the past. And I think looking at the past is necessary because we have short memories and we're forgetful. Whenever we're looking to the future and the unknown, we're not exactly sure what's going to happen, and fear can grasp us, and fear can hit us hard, and we can miss our sense of security and peace can be gone. But looking in the past and seeing how God has been faithful allows us to move into the future with confidence and faith and trust. And so that's why I looked in the past, and God's been so faithful to us. He has provided. He has shown us. We've walked through difficult times, and He's been faithful with us and has used us in spite of ourselves. And so, as we looked at the past and looked into the future, we really don't know what God was going to hold. We know what God's going to hold for us, have for us. But we know that God will be with us. He'll provide, and He will lead us. So then I started thinking about where are we now? You know, it's hard to believe. It's been almost 4 years since you had your stroke, falling down and hitting that concussion, and it's
I think it was 400
it
years.
feels like it. I think God looks at me like He looked at Adam, and when I met Brenda, He looked at me like He looked at Adam and said, "It is not good for this guy to be alone. He needs help. And he needs it bad." And He gave me you. And I know you've been telling me that all these years, but it's true.
That's so true.
and so when she had her stroke, it's like I know God knows I still need her, because 2% survival rate. There's a 2% survival rate of people who've had a stroke that she had. So I'm still helpless and pathetic without you. So I just want you to know that, okay?
Okay.
These past 4 years have been an adventure of pain, of sorrow, of grieving, of joy, of disappointment, of growth, of major personal adjustments. And one of the major adjustments that I've had to make is becoming a caregiver. Brenda, I'm so thankful with the stroke. She didn't turn into a mean old woman. In fact, she's actually turned nicer, which is for some of you hard to believe, but for me it's a true blessing. And what we've seen is God be faithful again. And He's been faithful because of you. So many of you have ministered to us and encouraged us and helped us. And even the smallest gesture is an amazing blessing to us. So God's provided again through you. So at this present time, we've settled into a pattern, into a rhythm, and it's a rhythm that is good. So naturally, the next thing was to think about our future. This past year, the elders have used this time to really review the church, evaluate where we are, and to start planning for the next 5 years. And that's it's good. And it's exciting, some of the things that are going to be happening. But in October of 2020, we were going on our planning retreat, and the purpose of that retreat was to develop a leadership structure to lead us into the next 5 years. And to be honest with you, I had been really wrestling with the fact that, can I continue to do this? I was tired, exhausted, trying to do a full-time ministry and take care of this dear woman, and I just didn't know if I could go on. And so in thinking and praying through it, I just thought it would not be fair if the leadership made a 5-year plan that included me all 5 years. Because if into a year or two into it, if I said I can't do this anymore, or something changed drastically, then we'd have to change everything all over again. So, not ready to leave ministry, but I just cannot go on as is, the way we are. I pretty much had to come to grips with my limitations and the fact that I can't do everything. And that's hard for all of us to come to that point. So, and also realizing the future of Meadow Springs is not me. And so I explained this to the elders and said to them that I'm just not ready to leave, but I offered a plan perhaps, or a proposal that if I'd be willing to reduce my role, my responsibilities, change anything, and go to a part-time ministry position, and if that would fit into the plans of the church. And they graciously assured me that that I was wanted and needed, which is a relief. You know, when you say something like that, and they'll look away and look at the floor, and it's like, So they graciously assured me that they wanted me around, which is really, really good. My heart is here at Meadow Springs, but ever since day one, it's never been my church. It's been God's church, and I've tried to hold it with an open hand. And so we want to serve, but just can't do it in the same capacity. So the reality is I cannot do ministry and care for this dear woman And I'm not being smart aleck either. I mean, with all my heart. I know when I wrote that, it's people think I'm being facetious, but for this dear woman that I love so much. But my latest physical, the doctor said that my demands on my life are starting to affect my health. So I want to continue to serve. My highest priority is to take care of this lady, to provide for her and care for her. And
in the manner of which I am accustomed.
In the manner of which she's becoming accustomed to, which is like, I may have to get another job to just, never mind. Okay, but really to take care of her. And if I continue on trying to both, I'm not going to be able to anybody. So the elders and I have decided to change my role and responsibility, and we're going to be planning that over the next several months. The bottom line is we are not going anywhere. The bottom line is what I'm going to be doing and roles and responsibilities will be different and changed. So now here's something I want to state in the strongest terms possible. There is no hidden backstory here. There's been no pressure whatsoever by anybody to move us into this direction. That has been something that God and Brenda and I have talked about and wrestled with. We have been cared for and by the elder team and honored and respected on such a high level that my heart is just full of joy for how we've been cared for by the team. So for all of us know that there's usually a backstory. There's none of that here. And we have been so blessed by them. So here we are, like so many times in our life, the future's unknown, kind of known, but totally not known. And we know that whatever God has for us, He'll be with us. We're going to walk into the future trusting Him because He provides, He guides, He protects us. And we're going to walk into the future with Him and with each other. So you may have some questions. We have a frequent asked question sheet that's going to be available on the website and maybe included with this video. So we wanted our church family to know that that's what's happening with Jerry and Brenda right now. So thank you.
Hi, Meadow Springs. Pastor Gene here with Gary Rosing, and we're here as representatives of your elder team, and we want to make a couple of comments in a response to Jerry and Brenda's announcement of the transition that they're making at Meadow Springs Community Church. So first of all, we want to congratulate them and tell them how excited we are about this transition that they're making, this time of life, and the decision that they have made, because we think it's the right decision. And we want at the same time to say thank you, to express how grateful we are for their years of ministry and love and service to the body at Meadow Springs. Jerry started the church 27 years ago, stepped out in faith to do it, and he has been at the heart of Meadow Springs Community Church ever since. And I can say I've served with him for 26 of those years, and it has been incredibly fun and profoundly impacting in my life. And we just want to celebrate and support them during this time. And one of the ways that we want to do that is, as elders, we have decided that we want to bestow on Jerry a title called Pastor Emeritus. And if you're familiar with that emeritus term, it is a term of honor which expresses the accomplishment or the fulfillment of a responsibility with distinction. And yet there's still some responsibility left that still belongs to you. And that's the role that Jerry's going to play as he moves from a full-time to a part-time position at the church. So we're going to be celebrating and bestowing that honor on him, and we'll make arrangements for that celebration as we figure out a few more of the details of the transition.
Okay. And the second thing that we would like to communicate is that the elders have been involved with Jerry and Brenda through this whole thing, and in conversation with them and talking about the plans and all the rest of that. And it's been really a very beneficial, mutually beneficial conversation, I think, over that time. One of the things that the way this is going to work out is that Jerry will turn into take on a half-time role here starting July 1st. But as we've been talking with them about that, we've realized that there's a lot of things, a lot of pieces that still have to fall into place. And it seems to us like it would be a good thing to give them some time to do that, to get some of those things done. So we're suggesting to them that they take a 3-month sabbatical, and that sabbatical would start in June, actually, before the halftime roll starts. Start in June and run through August, and it would give them time to plan some of those details that need to happen. Some of them are financial details that need to take place, but part of it too is just to take the time to interact with God and seek His mind on what a part-time role would look like for them. As Gene said, Jerry's ministry with us is not done, but what is it going to look like? And so that's one of the things that they would use this time for. We would like to invite you and just ask really that you would join us in prayer over these next few months, especially as they're working these details out. Pray for them that they would be able to get the details that need to be taken care of done, but also that they would really come to a real good conclusion about what it is that God's calling them to do here. And thank you for doing that.
So one of the wonderful things about being the church and living in community with one another is that we get to walk through these seasons of life together, and they're all across our lifetimes, but we're in that one of those transitions with Jerry and Brenda, and we get to walk with them, and that's a privilege, it's an honor, and it's a responsibility. So we encourage you to support them as they go through this time, and to pray for them and for the decisions they'll be making, and to pray for the church and for where God wants to take us as we continue to follow the adventure of living for Jesus Christ. So thank you for being part of the church body. Thank you for the support you show for Jerry and for Brenda, and the love you have for them and for the church. We just are delighted to be a family with you.
Clear? All right.
So you want me to say my thing?
We're supposed to say
that'd be good.
thing.
Oh,
There you go.
what to me when?
You go just now.
I would like to leave you with a Bible verse because I'm so godly. 1 Thessalonians 2:8. We have been delighted to share the gospel with you and our lives as well because you are so dear to us. Thanks so much.
Well, you know, we're still going to be able to do that.
And
Share the gospel. We're not going away. You know that.
I'm going to be it.
So.